welcome back to Frank's Model Aviation Workshop. This is part 8 in the Carl Goldberg Ultimate 10-300 build series. This episode we are going to complete the wings, except for the installing the servo and stuff, but to the point where they'll be ready to finish sand. We're not going to do that yet. We'll do that. That's the last thing we're going to do before we cover it. But we're going to install the die cut tips plates that go on. Now, anybody that's ever built one of these kits knows that these things are always too small. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ditch those, and I'm going to make some fresh ones. I'm going to be using 3/32. Those are 16th. It ain't going to matter. It'll all be good in the end. But we'll get set up and we'll get going and get these wings done, and then we'll be on to the fuselage, and before you know it, we'll be covering this thing. So anyway, if you like this type of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. Hit that notification bell so that you can be notified of future episodes of this series or any other series you'll be wanting to look at. And be sure and like and share my videos. I'd really appreciate that. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so what I did here was I took the actual die cut piece that's too small, and I just traced it out big on my 3/32. So I'll use this 3/32 as the pattern for the other three. So we'll get those cut out and glued on. And I'll glue them on and I'll sand them to the right actual size. Then after I get them installed, I'll show you a trick that I use to keep all of my edges nice and crisp for when I go to monocoat. I've shown it before in other videos, but I'll go over it again. Okay, so we'll get these cut out, and then I'll get back with you when we're ready to glue them on. Okay, so I've already pre-sanded these things flat. I'm going to go ahead and glue these caps on using medium CA. I'm running out of medium CA, so I'm going to have to open up a new bottle here soon. Okay, then we'll get the sand in those. Okay, so what I do to preserve my edges is I take a little thin CA and just go on the corners. And that'll harden those up. Then you take some 220 and those are nice and sharp. And you know, before you actually cover, you're going to final sand anyway. But those corners will stay sharp, and they'll also take a little bit of abuse. So I'll go back in fast speed, and I'll get those done as I'm sanding the tips. Okay, the next step is to take these center trailing edge pieces, match them up to the plan, cut the angles, glue them onto the center of the wings, and wrap the center joint with the fiberglass tape. So we'll start with the lower wing, since that's the one we started with to begin with. So we'll get set up and get these installed. Alright, so we'll just take them and match them up to the plan. And I want to make them as close to the plan as I can get them. So I'm going to just barely put this corner on this center joint and mark this side. I'll tell you what I'm going to do first. I'm going to extend that so that I can see it. I'm going to extend this center line. Make sure it's perfect. I'll go all the way up to the top. That's just so I can see it. Now we'll take and put this up to the corner, line it up with the trailing edge, mark this edge, then we'll take the clear ruler and complete that line. Now when I cut these, I'm going to leave the line and sand it smooth. Okay. I'm going to sand that smooth. And that'll be that center one. And then we also have to come over here and mark this edge. So what I'm going to do, I'll extend that line as well. Okay. This end needs a little bit of adjustment. Okay, there's that one. Put that over here on top of the wing, and I'll do this one now. Same way. Matter of fact, I'll go ahead and mark this too. We'll have to do this to both wings, but I'm only going to show you the one wing, and I'll do the other wing in fast speed. Just making minor adjustments to it. Alright, that's that. Now we'll glue these to the root trailing edge of the wing. And I'll make any adjustments necessary if I need to. Basically it'll go like that. Well, you can't see it, but basically it'll go like that, and we'll make any sanding adjustments at a later point. So I'm just going to glue them on one at a time, making sure that that root end is at the center. Now there'll be little deviations as far as levelness. That'll all get sanded smooth and filled where needed. And we'll have to put that tape over the center. Now before I put the tape on the center, I'm going to go ahead and relieve this edge to make sure it's nice and rounded. I don't like a sharp trailing edge like that. So we'll go ahead and glue these up. That's that. You can run a little bit of thin CA down that center if you want to strengthen that up. Now what you can do is you can go ahead and start to shape this up a little bit. Basically trying to get those trailing edges to be the same thickness for now. I can tell right now these are going to need quite a bit of filler. Just the way it's just the nature of the beast, really. Now I'm going to relieve this just a little bit with a little bit of sandpaper. Okay. Now, I like to keep a clean edge here. Remember, we're going to have to cut that angle. So I'm going to harden this edge here. So when I go to do my covering, it's going to be nice and sharp. Let's see. So you just use my, it's mainly just this tip here. That just hardens that tip, so when you go to cover around it, it won't round off. I need a little more here. Next step is to put this fiberglass tape on the center joint. So the way I like to do it is I like to start off like right about here and just get it started. and then we'll just take and finish that off. We'll work our way around the wing. This stuff will burn your eyes too, because it's really potent. Now, because I strengthened my wing tips, when I turn this, it's not gonna bother the wing tips any. Now the key here is don't glue it to your table. Probably should have put some wax paper down just in case. You want that glue to saturate that weave, kind of like when you would fiberglass an airplane. I think I'm gonna grab some wax paper. And we'll finish off over here. Makes your nose run. You can go through and check your joints, make sure it's laid down. Add a little where you need to. That's basically it. And you take your knife and trim that off if I can find it. There it is. All right, I'm going to let that dry for a little bit and then we'll come back and cut the ailerons. Okay, so we've reached a point in the build, or we're rapidly approaching the point in the build where I'm going to have to mount the bottom wing to the fuselage and drill for the mounts, the screws to mount the wing. And after that is drilled, we close in the top of the fuselage, and I won't be able to, align any more wings. So originally, when I first said I was going to build this ultimate biplane, I was going to do a set of lost foam wings using the Bob Hunt lost foam wing building method. So what I'm going to do after we're done building these kit wings, I'm going to transition into the lost foam wing build. We'll do those and get them finished, and then we will get back into building the kit, the fuselage and all that stuff, so I can drill for both wings, for both bottom wings. So, and the lost foam wings, I'm going to put dual aileron servos in. I know everybody likes that. So, and it'll probably be easier for me to do that with the lost foam method anyways. So anyway, we will do that. As soon as these kit wings are done, we're going to transition into the lost foam build, and hopefully we can get it built successfully. If at any point during this lost foam build that I end up screwing it up, then we're going to scratch the lost foam wings and just finish up the kit. Hopefully not. I'm hoping if we build smart and think ahead, we'll be able to complete these wings. So plus I have a DVD set from Bob Hunt on how to build the lost foam wings, so I'll be referring to that as I'm building these wings. So I'm going to try to use the same kind of method that he used. I'm going to have to change some of it because of just the way the wing's built. So anyway, let's get going on this thing, and we'll get to building those lost foam wings. Okay, so now's the time we're going to cut these ailerons to shape. Now, the way I'm going to do it, I'm going to cut this root end at the angle. And I'm going to rough cut the tip end because I'm going to get my aileron gap that I want. And then I'm going to sand this edge, or this end, well, I'll rough cut it, but I'll sand it even with the tip of the wing. After we get them hinged and slotted and all that stuff, I'm going to mount them to the wing, get my hinge gap, tape the aileron so it don't move, then I'll sand to the right shape. That's the way I'm going to do all 4 ailerons. So I'll do 1 aileron on the bottom wing, and then we will finish up the bottom wing, and I'm going to do the top wing all in fast speed. So let's get going. I'm going to start off by making this first initial cut. And I'm going to use that original line, so I'm bringing that over just a hair. These ailerons are just long enough so I don't have much waste. Okay, looks good. So now I'll line it up with the actual aileron. I need to extend these lines again. Now I'm going to cut this long because, like I said, I want to sand it to the wing. I'm hoping I don't screw this up. Okay, now I'm going to bring the wing over to match it up, see how close I am. I want a 1/16 inch gap, so we'll see if we got it. Oh yeah, I got plenty of excess there. That's good. That's weird because look, this is, well no, I made it long, so that's good. All right, I'll take it. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with the other 3 ailerons, or actually I'll just do it with the right side. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this left B for bottom, left B, and that means that's the left bottom aileron. Now we'll do the right side as well. Okay, I'm using this piece of 1/16 plywood to get my gap, and we are going to mark for the hinges where they're going to go. So first mark the wing. And then I'll mark the aileron. Just got to get it close because I slot fairly wide. Okay. I'll do that to the other side while I'm at it. Okay, so now's the time we're going to hinge this up. So I got my centerline tool. I'm going to be using CA hinges. I drew a center line down them, And I stick pins in there when I slot them so that I can center my hinge in there. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to hinge it up without beveling it with the gap. I'll put a piece of 16th inch ply in there, tape these ailerons in that position, and then sand this tip to where it's supposed to be. Then I'll take the ailerons off and we will bevel these edges. So let's get going. Okay, I can see that. I only like to use this centering jig just where the hinges are going on the wing itself. And it's going to dent my trailing edge sheeting, so I'm going to have to use the steam method to get those dents out. Alright, now I'm going to install the hinges, and then install the aileron. This is the left bottom. I'm going to reposition the camera. Maybe you'll see a little better. Okay, I'm going to try to do one on camera. I just take my knife and slowly cut it down through. Matter of fact, I'm going to change blades real quick. And I like to, I don't know how I'm going to show you this, but I like to sight down and cut my hinges. I can't do it while I'm showing you on the camera, but I'll do it while I'm filming. Hopefully you can see what's going on here. I just like to keep it 90 degrees and just kind of wiggle the knife back and forth till you get it where you need it. And that's one slotted hinge location. Now I'll put one hinge in just so we can see that it's in there. I use pins to center it. Just like that. I'll do the same for the rest of the hinges, and we'll mount it up, sand that tip, then we'll uninstall the aileron and bevel. Okay, probably a little overkill on the tape, but I didn't want it to move while I sanded that tip. So I'm going to use my permagrit and sand that tip to the wing. Alright, that's that. Now I'm going to round these edges a little bit. Try not to gouge out my ailerons. In fact, probably better off doing this. Just kind of taking the hardness off that. Jeez. Okay. Now I'll use this to kind of smooth it out a little bit. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this aileron off, harden up my ends, like you saw me do with the thin CA. Maybe I'll just harden up these corners here and then harden the rest of it after I bevel. But before I do that, before I even take this one off, I'm going to go ahead and slot the other one and get it put on and sanded to this point. Looking pretty decent. Okay, I got my gaps. The edges rounded just slightly to take the sharpness away. And they're slotted, hinged, and now we're getting ready to bevel the ailerons on the lower wing. Once the lower wing ailerons are beveled, I'm going to rehinge, hang this one up, and then I'm going to do the other one completely in fast speed, the top wing. Okay, I'm half tempted to change this blade out on this planer, but we'll see. I'm going to, like I said before, I use the gauge to determine the angle of my plane. So this is the elevator gauge is the same with the aileron, I believe, is AE. I guess I could check the plan or check the instructions to make sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Built enough of these in the past. Yep, AE, so that's the one I'm using. So I'll match up my angle, and I like to be down here at eye level so I can see. Just match up the angle and have at it. I'll take a few swipes and then recheck. And you want to keep an eye on your plane, because if you go too far, it'll take too much off. So you want to like lift up before you get to the end. Ooh, my thing slipped. Gotta be careful. Got like a knot or something right here, so I gotta be careful right there. Crappy blades, dull. Stupid thing. Moving. That'll hold it. Got to keep that thing from moving. Really don't take too long to bevel these things if you pay attention to what your plane is doing. I think I'm going to untape that. I'm trying to get it as close to that center line mark as I can. Without going too far. If you go too far, you're going to end up with a gap, and you don't want a gap in your control surfaces. It'll cause flutter. Alright, I'm going to tape this. Flip her over. I'll double check that when I get it off the table. just put it up to the light upside down. It tells me how close I am. Alright, let's flip her over and do the other side. Seems like a waste of tape, but it gets the job done. This time I'll start off by doing this. Alright, same thing as before. Match your angle up. Just eyeballing basically. Definitely gonna need to change blades on this thing. Feels like it's skipping. You gotta do what you gotta do. See how I'm doing that like a saw. Double check. I got a blade somewhere. I really should change it out. Uh-oh. That didn't look good. I think I'm gonna sand that, see if that's, I think it went too far. Took a chunk out. It's gonna need a little bit of filler there probably. Luckily, I think that's on the inside, not the outside, which is good. All right, let's take her off and see what she looks like. Looks pretty decent. What I'm doing is I'm just using the light and shining it on that center. And you can see right where you need to sand. Okay, I'm going to call that good. Yeah, it took a little chunk. You can see where it took a little chunk out. I can put a little filler on that. But I'm going to go ahead and harden this outside. That makes a world of difference whenever you go to monocoat. So I'll take my 220. And that'll be nice and a nice piece to monocoat whenever I get to that point. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the 220 on this to kind of smooth it out a little bit before I put it back on the plane. I think I'll harden a little bit of that. I want to preserve that edge as much as I can. So when I go to finish that, I'll make sure to add a little filler there. You probably won't even notice it because it's on the bottom of it, but I'll know it's there, so I'll have to fix it. So I'll put this back on, and then I'll do the rest of them in fast speed. the completed bottom wing minus the final sanding. So I'm going to hang this up. I'll do the top wing in fast speed and we will be done. We'll be on to the lost foam wing build. Okay, we've reached the conclusion of the wing builds part of the Carl Goldberg 10-300 biplane, ultimate biplane, and we're at the point now where we have to set these aside, and we would normally start the fuse build, but when you get to the point where you have to mount the bottom wing and drill for the bullet holes, you have to close in the fuselage, and you can't drill anymore for an additional set of wings. So we're going to set these aside, postpone the fuselage build, and bring in the lost foam wing builds section of the ultimate biplane that I've been wanting to do. My preview video of the ultimate biplane build series included the lost foam wings. So we're done with the kit wings, setting them aside. We're going to start the lost foam build. I'm going to have to do a lot of engineering. You know, all that center section that's in the kit is different. It'll be different for the lost foam. We won't have that hard balsa leading edge. So what I did, I ordered some 1/8" carbon fiber rod to strengthen that leading edge, because there's nothing between the ribs. It's just a balsa shell with 2 ribs. So I thought carbon fiber rod would be light and it'd be kind of stiff and strong. So we'll use carbon fiber rod for the leading edge. Haven't quite figured out how we're going to do this part of it. We'll figure that out. And we're not going to have a center servo. It'll be dual servos. Still got to figure out how I'm going to do that basswood block and all that. So it'll be a challenge, but I think it'll be rewarding in the end, especially if we end up with a beautiful set of wings. I learned about the lost foam wing build from my buddy Sparky from Stunt Hanger. He does it a lot in control line airplanes, and I've seen him do it. Bob Hunt is the guy that came up with the lost foam wing building system. And I called him up, to see if he would cut me a lost foam wing jig for the ultimate biplane, for Carl Goldberg's ultimate biplane. He said he can do it. So I mailed him off the plans, and I got the lost foam wing. So we'll get to going on that, and it might be fun. So if you like this type of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. Hit that notification bell, and be sure to like and share my videos. I'd really appreciate it. And until the next episode, which will be the lost foam, thanks for watching.